Another episode of Gotham, another reference to Batman, and another episode where I really think that they should just excise the character of Bruce Wayne, which is ironic considering what this show is partially based off of. Anyway, that was I believe the fifth episode of Gotham. It was titled Viper, and the basic plot of this one is that there's this new performance enhancing drug being passed around on the street. I mean, it's giving people a temporary boost in power, stamina, confidence. I mean, basically all physical abilities they are enhanced, but only for a few hours, and then and a side effect is death. So, not a very profitable drug. And Gordon and Bullock take it upon themselves. Mainly Gordon takes it upon himself to find out why someone is just giving this drug away on the street, and what kind of point they're trying to make. Blah blah blah, and if there are any steps beyond this point. Now, once again, the best part of the episode was the chemistry between Gordon and Bullock, and while there were some narrative problems, I thought this was yet another fairly solid episode to a fairly solid show. I don't think it's achieved great, but it's I can safely say that it's a good show, at least in my opinion. Like I said, it has a while yet to really achieve greatness. Like I said, I think it needs to continue to forge its own identity to a certain extent. But yeah, yeah, this episode I thought was fairly solid because, like I said, the chemistry between Gordon and Bullock is still very good. The acting, especially from Ben McKenzie and Donald Logue, is still. I mean, these characters, they're really starting to embody these characters more and more. I mean, really starting to see their interpretations of these characters rather than seeing actors play these characters. So I think that's a good sign, and also this episode kind of continued to improve on something that I had a problem with, and to a certain extent I still kind of do, which is the character of Fish Mooney. Now, for first of all, I still don't really think Jada Pinkett Smith is giving a very good performance. I think it's just a little too cartoonish. I don't think she's all that threatening. She's hammy, and it's difficult to really know how hammy is. I mean, how much is too much in a show like this, which by its very nature is very stylized, because a lot of elements in this show are drift into that realm of hyper reality. So it's really hard for me to tell. I think it's really hard for a lot of people to tell, what can be considered too over the top for something like this, which certain elements of it are kind of meant to be over the top. So when I say that Fish Mooney is not working in terms of performance, I sincerely believe that. Like I said, I just can't take her seriously. Again, from a performance standpoint, from how she is functioning in the overall show, and trying to forge her own path in the seasonal arc. I think they are improving. I was definitely more into her scenes than I have ever been throughout this show thus far. Mainly because she's not making a really boneheaded decision. I mean, she's not acting on any kind of impulse like she was. She was she was continuing to forge this nameless girl to infiltrate Falcone's inner circle, and and I actually like that. I like how she was taking all of these nervous ticks into account, and how she was really teaching this girl to use body language, and how to really basically how to seduce Falcone right down to singing an aria. So yeah, I like how intricate that charming process was, and yeah, like I said, the fact that Fish Mooney is not directly going after Falcone herself or Falcone herself is I think a step in the right direction when it comes to character subtlety, and actually taking her seriously as a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it's a work in progress with her. And the same thing with the Penguin. Now, the Penguin, in my opinion, when it comes to the bad guys, when it comes to the gang members, he is probably the most interesting at this point. And I think a big turning point for me was when he hired those goons to help him infiltrate Maroni's inner circle in the previous episode. Now, at first I thought, actually, no, I still think that it was a pretty stupid move to actually reveal his identity to Maroni pretty quick. I actually think it could have potentially served to destroy everything he has worked to build up to this point, which albeit isn't much, but still, it was a pretty stupid move, and I think, and and really, just because it paid off does not make it any more intelligent. I mean, once again, Gordon had to bail him out. Now, now, I would think that if anything, Cobblepot should have learned by now to not put all of his cards on the table at once, especially not when dealing with big-time gangbangers like Maroney and Fish Mooney and Falcone. But now that he's a part of Maroney's little club, um, possibly in how that the the singer chick is now a part of Fish Mooney's little club. Hopefully, we'll get to see some more interesting material because, like I said, Maroney seems to really want to use Cobblepot as a weapon against Fish Mooney, against the competition. So, so yeah, I'm still interested in the Penguin, despite how they kind of made him stupid for this episode. Uh, what else? What else? What else? The concept of Viper. I actually thought worked well enough as a self-contained thing, and oddly enough, I must not have been on my A game or something because I really was just kind of picking up the references pretty quickly the first few episodes. But for this one, the fact that Viper was this sort of precursor to Venom, the Venom serum, which, as fans will know, is primarily what Bane uses as his sort of personal steroid. I didn't actually pick that up, and honestly, one could see it as a little on the nose and just another Batman reference, but the fact that they were able to, I actually liked where they went with it. I liked how they made Viper a precursor to Venom. I liked how Venom was not a perfected formula when it first came around because it did have these kind of early testing stages, uh, one of which was Viper. So. And I also liked hearing some of the backstory. I mean, it's kind of similar to Marvel's Super Soldier Serum, um, in how it was originally designed for pharmaceutical combat. But yeah, I just like how Viper was handled overall. I mean, some of the effects, particularly when the guy was lifting up the ATM machine and got crushed by it, some of those effects look kind of cheesy and not really there. But overall, from a storytelling standpoint, I liked how they handled Venom, or Viper as it was called. Um, and once again, I think the biggest problem with this episode was Bruce Wayne, and I'm sorry, part of it has to do with the fact that this kid is not a very good actor, or at least not in my mind. I mean, he's basically on the same level as Bran Stark from Game of Thrones, um, where to me at least the show just stops whenever he's on screen. Uh, and having him, I can understand what they were trying to go for. They were trying to really, really get Bruce Wayne to learn what is wrong with Gotham, really get him to understand how the way things work, but to try the way that they keep trying to make him an active part of the plot, I think feels a little forced. And when you see him going over all this paperwork, I I just was sitting there like I don't buy it at all. I don't buy that this kid within the span of one day suddenly became an expert in all of this in basically in the business world, as it were. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my naive mind, but yeah, I just did not find it believable. And another minor issue with this episode is I think the pacing. The pacing I think was a little too fast at points, a little too breakneck, and some of that may have to do with some deleted scenes that they had to leave on the cutting room floor for runtime's sake. But but it seemed pretty odd to me that Jim Gordon and Bullock just discovered the Viper in one guy, and then the next scene where then we cut away to a different scene, and then when we cut back to the Viper plot for this episode, all of a sudden it's like this epidemic. It's on the news, and I thought, how could it have spread this fast? I mean, even for a drug as potent as this, with effects that are as immediately noticeable as this, I find it hard to believe that it happened this quick. So, like I said, a bit of a breakneck pace, particularly around the middle. But overall, yeah, this was a pretty solid episode, I thought, with some minor issues, which that seems to be the recurring verdict for this show, is that it's good, but with some issues that hold it back. So, I don't know, will it be able to redeem itself next week? Or not redeem itself, but will it be able to ascend into greatness next week with what looks like the Scarecrow? I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe it's a precursor to the Scarecrow or something. Maybe in sort of in the way that Viper was the precursor to Venom. I don't know, but I think actually bringing physical Batman villains into the show is not really something that they want to do, or at least not something they should do. But that's just me.